All right, I'm gonna get started. I am going. So let me share my screen with you guys. It's called Bubble. So Bubble allows you to build pretty much whatever app you want. I'm talking about web apps or mobile apps with visual programming. So again, we talked about visual programming. It's you point, click, drag, drop. And that's what Bubble does. On the inside of Bubble, this is what it looks like. So you have all of these little blocks, and it says when the page is loaded, then do something else. When the page is loaded and the user is logged in, then do something else. When the button go is clicked, then do something else, right? So you're just telling the app in plain English how to operate, how to perform. This is visual programming. It's the best example of visual programming I think is out there. This is how you build apps without code. So I want to show you guys this example of an app that was built without code. It's called Not Real Twitter. NotRealTwitter.com is the app. And I want to show you the intro of Not Real Twitter because I think it's a really awesome testament to the changing way that people are building apps these days. This is new stuff. You guys are really joining this webinar on the cutting edge of this awesome, awesome way that people are building apps. But I just want to read to you this intro from Not Real Twitter because it's pretty darn good. So it says, welcome to Not Real Twitter. Just like Twitter, but worse, a lot worse. The purpose of this site isn't to steal Twitter's business or to give people a chance at a fresh social media start. It is to show the future of software development. Because in 2020, most programmers won't be engineers. They'll be doctors, teachers, farmers, and executives. The person who built this site is not a software engineer. He didn't use HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Perl, PHP, Python, or any of those languages, those secret languages that most people use to build apps. In fact, he didn't write a single line of code, and he built it in 4 days. Enjoy Not Real Twitter, built using bubble.is, which is that platform I was just talking to you about. And then there's a nice quick note to Twitter. Please don't sue us. This is just an experiment to show people what you can do without code. I like that little note at the end. So then you arrive on Not Real Twitter and you can log in just like you can do on Twitter. Let me know in the chat if you think this is cool. I think this is really awesome. And once you're in the app, you can operate just like you would on Twitter. You can post tweets, you can add photos, you can like other people's tweets, you can follow other people. There's notifications and private DMs. You can build all of this stuff without code. I just wanted to show this to you as an example. So I want to do something really crazy right now. I want to make part of an app with you right now. We're just going to sort of bite off a little piece of it, but I want to show you exactly how this stuff works so that you know how to do it. So give me 1 second. I'm going to switch over the screens that I'm sharing. Okay, 1 second. I'm going to build a live app with you guys. Okay, so I am over in Bubble right now. Bubble, as I mentioned, is my favorite tool for building my own apps without knowing how to code. I'm not a developer. I'm just building cool stuff, and this is my favorite platform to build apps on. So I just want to show you quickly on the left-hand side, because we're going to build a piece of an app right now. So on the left-hand side, you see the Design tab. That's what we're currently looking at. You can just drag and drop things onto your page and design it however you want. If you need a custom design, it's super easy to do that here. Just drag and drop. Then over here on the left-hand side, you see the Workflow tab. There's currently nothing really in my Workflow tab, but I'm going to add if this, then that statements into my Workflow tab right here. I'll show you that in a minute. And then I've also got my database. I can set up my database however I want. So if I want to have users in my app, I want to have locations, anything you want to save about a user, you can save in your data tab. So let's go back to the design tab. Let's build a little piece of an app. I'm going to go kind of fast on this today, but you and I will find some time one-on-one or in one of our group calls. I'll tell you more about those in a moment to talk about step-by-step how to actually do this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to click over here on the top left-hand corner, and I'm going to add a new page. This page I'm looking at right now is just a default bubble page. I'm going to add a new page, and I'm going to call it Login. Actually, I changed my mind. I'm going to call it Sign Up and click Create. So it's going to take me over to this new blank page. There's nothing on the page. I haven't designed anything on here yet. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some text and I'm going to drag and drop it here, and I'm just going to say the word Sign Up. We're not going to worry too much about style right now, but I'm just going to make it big font and center it really quickly. Now, there needs to be a place for someone to type in their information when they actually sign up. So to do that, I'm going to come back over here on the left-hand side. Again, all I'm doing right now is dragging and dropping, making this thing live. So input form, I'm going to click input, and I'm going to drag it onto the page. And it's going to say, what do you want your placeholder to be? And for me, let's say that the placeholder is going to be type your name, and the content format is going to be text. Okay, great. So let's do that again for email. So again, I'm going to come over here, grab another input form and drag it right here. And the placeholder is going to be type your email. Again, I'm just dragging and dropping stuff and customizing it for whatever I want it to say. The content format, though, this time, instead of it being text, it's going to be an email. And this is going to make sure that someone doesn't type something that's not an email into this field. It has to be an email. You can't just sign up with some random letters. It has to be your email, right? And then let's grab one last input because someone has to create a password for themselves. So let's drag that in here. Again, I'm not worrying too much about design. I'm just making a really simple page. So type your password. And that content format's going to be password. Really simple. All right, so let's close this. The very last thing on this design tab that I need to do is grab a button, because after you type all this in, you need to click sign up and actually do the action of signing up. So again, I'm going to come over here on the left, grab a button, drag and drop. Again, like this is so easy, guys. And let's call it sign up / get started. I don't know, you can get creative here, whatever you want this to be. So this is my page, nice and designed and pretty. Let's go take a look at it. Bam, there it is. This is preview mode. It's not live yet. It's just test app, and it is looking pretty good. So this is the design tab. Again, I've said if any of you guys need custom designs for your app so it doesn't look like everyone else's, this is how you do it. You just drag and drop stuff onto the page. Super easy. The visual programming stuff I've been talking to you about. So now the problem is, and well, you can actually see, I can type in my name, I can type in my email, I can type in a password, but nothing happens when I click this button. I'm clicking, nothing's happening. So let's actually make something happen when I click this button. So let's go back. Right now we're in a little preview of what the page looks like. Let's go back to the editor. Now I'm back in the editor. You can tell because I've got all these elements that I can drag and drop on the side. So remember I mentioned there is this workflow tab. We've been talking about this whole logic thing, setting up your app with logic. So what we need to do is put some logic on this button that when someone clicks the button, something else happens. So to do that, let's double click on the button and click Start Edit Workflow. Again, workflow in Bubble is another word for logic. So I'm going to click Start Edit Workflow. And it starts an if this, then that statement for me. Remember, if the domino is pushed, then the other dominoes will fall. If the user clicks the button, then sign them up. That's pretty much what we're doing here. It's not written in code. This stuff is in English. So it literally says when button sign up / get started is clicked. So we want something to happen when that is triggered. When the button is clicked, we want an action to happen. So I'm going to click here to add an action. And I'm going to choose sign the user up. Really simple. And then Bubble has some questions for me. It's like, what email do you want me to use to sign the user up? And what password do you want me to use to sign the user up? So what we want to say is, hey, the user just typed in their email and their password. Whatever they just typed in those input forms, use that to sign them up. So click here, and Bubble's giving me instructions step by step. There's definitely a learning curve as you get fancier on this stuff, but for very simple things like setting up your sign-up form, we're going to follow the directions. So email, click here. And again, what we want to save as the person's email is the input that they put in for type your email. Value. So the value of whatever they typed in. This is just Bubble grammar. That's just how they word it, the value. Again, the password, click here, is going to be whatever they typed in as their password. Input, type passwords, value. Boom. Now, if you remember, we also asked the user on that page we just designed for a third thing. We asked them for their name. So we're going to click Save Some Additional Data. And I just realized that my database isn't set up to know names. Emails and passwords just come with the app. So let's quickly go over to the Data tab, and I'm going to create a field in my database so that I can save people's names. Go over to the Data tab. I'm going to click Create a New Field. So this says user already has emails in there. Let's create a new field. It's going to be called Names. Name, and it's just going to be text. So click create. Think about your database like a spreadsheet. So you've got a spreadsheet of all the users' information, and you've got a huge spreadsheet of emails and names of people who use your app. And then you can have a huge spreadsheet of all types of other custom information for your app as well. But right now we just have users with names and emails. So back on my workflow tab, now we'll see some magic where when I click here, name is now an option for something I can save. So name equals, and then you guessed it, we're going to make whatever they typed in as their name, that value is the name. So recap. We just went on the design tab. We designed all of our elements. We just dragged and dropped. This stuff was super easy. Then we put a workflow on the button. So I double click the button. Here's where the logic comes in. I click Start Edit Workflow, and it started a logic statement for me. When the button's clicked, then do something. Specifically, when the button's clicked, then sign the user up. So sign them up with their email that they typed in, sign them up with the password they typed in, and sign them up with the name they typed in. Now, let's add one more thing. So when the user is signed up, let's take them to a different page in the app. Usually it's going to be your dashboard. For now, let's just use that default page that Bubble created for us. So let's click here to add another action. Again, you can add an endless number of actions that happen when that button gets clicked, but let's just add one more that is go to page. So navigation, go to page when the user signed up. And it's going to ask, where's the destination? Where do you want me to take you? And we're going to say, just go to the index page. It's another word for home page. Let's just go to the home page right here. So let's go test this thing out. I'm going to click back on that preview I was looking at, or I can click the preview button in the top right-hand corner. And I'm back on my page that I have created. So let's try it out. I'm going to sign up because now my button works. So Tara Reed, that's my name. Here's my email. And here is my password. Sign up and get started. And it's signing me up, and it took me to my home page. It worked. Let's double check and see if it worked though. Let's go back to the editor, and if it worked, then my sign up information is going to be in the database for the app. So let's go see. Click on the database and click App Data. View all users, because that's where my users are going to be saved. Let's take a look. We might have to refresh the page if someone has just signed up and there's been a lot of activity. So again, Data tab, App Data, and there I am. Just signed up, Tara Reid, appswithoutcode.com. We just built a little piece of an app, guys. Pretty cool. So that's how you build a sign up. There's lots of fancy stuff you can do in here, but quick demo, that's how you do it. You can build all sorts of things like algorithms and really, really fancy stuff. You can get really tricky with your workflow, and you can get really fancy with some of these elements. This is a really, really beginning version or beginning lesson that I just showed you, but there's some fancy stuff you can do here, and there's some fancy customization that I love to teach folks to do. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here.